Warnings of a property plunge. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Still finishing off my morning stein of coffee, and I thought we'd have a look at this article from the ABC News discussing, well, people who are taking advantage of the home builder or home buyer grant and, concerns that some suburbs may plunge in property. Now here's the thing, everyone. Here's the thing. I'm going to draw your attention to two things. One is, bear with me, property price growth. You can see properties have grown significantly since 2006 when this chart started. All throughout the country. All throughout the country. Now there's another little thing I want to bring to everyone's attention, the Cantillon effect. Now this refers to a change, and I'll read this here, in relative prices resulting from a change in money supply. Inflation. When you increase the money supply, it's the tradition, the old school definition of inflation was increasing the monetary supply. The change in relative prices occurs because the change in money supply has a specific injection point and therefore a specific flow path through the economy. So while this home builder grant will have benefits, this will be an injection point, an increase of money supply, because people are going to be spending more money here. It'll start to bubble. We'll start to see an increase in costs. What happens when a sector bubbles? It pops. Government cash splash lures home builders amid warnings. Some suburbs could plunge in price. So, Marnie, Williams, and Honor Steinbeck had planned to start looking for a block of land sometime next year, until enticements too good to refuse rapidly accelerated their plans. And this is what's happening. These are pulling back future spending. I seriously looked at it too. I'm just a little apprehensive about the trading while insolvent rules. I guess I'm just too paranoid. For me, it's a little different, because we have to do a lift and build on it. We've got to do a lot of work on this place. So there's a lot I can do beforehand, before we get to that point. But the last thing I would want would have a building floating in the air and unable to live in it. Whereas if a builder goes bust when you're building a house, you just get a story on a current affair. You can still live somewhere else. I guess that would be horrific as well. The dangled carrots came in the form of the $25,000 from the federal government and another $20,000 for the West Australian government. $45,000. You can see why people are just jumping at it. $45,000. Suddenly, blocks of land in the couple's desired estate in the semi-rural suburb of Baldivis, around 45 kilometres south of Perth, were being snapped up fast. FOMO. They got FOMO. When we saw everyone out there on the weekend, we thought we'd better get to it now and not wait, she said. I think we got the last one that is being built in that particular area we wanted. There you go. More demand for specky homes, guys. More demand for little brick speckies. On top of fears they could miss out. There you go. Fears of missing out. On a block, $45,000 in government grants was too good to pass up. So this is creating FOMO. It's working. It's working. People are signing these contracts. It kind of felt like the sign we were looking for, she said. Well, there's confirmation bias. People can have that all the time. You can say, oh, it's a sign, and you read what you want into things. You're being manipulated. You're being manipulated to spend faster than you probably would have intended to. It means that we can have a bit of a nicer home with the fixings that we want and won't go outside of our budget. So it's really good, she said. Wow, that's a different perspective. I would have thought, fantastic, it means I can have a smaller loan. Maybe I've been watching too much Dave Ramsey. Smaller loan. Oh, boy. I mean, I was at Bunnings yesterday buying paint. I'm thinking, okay, I only need 4 litres, but I'm going to get the 10 litres because it's cheaper per litre and I'll just have to paint faster. I'll paint the rest of the house. I've got a lead paint issue here on the facade, so I've got to encapsulate it all. So I'm going to use it. I don't know, nicer fixings. Wow. It's just a different perspective. I mean, I guess I know where all the crap comes from. You know, the nicer fixings. I've seen developers have these beautifully laid out showrooms with all these nice fixings and everything, and all of it was illegally copied from European designs over in China. They stuck in there. People paying millions for these bloody apartments. So FOMO leads to huge land sales spike. They were not the only ones to act fast off the back of the government grant. Real Estate Institute of Western Australia President Damien Collins said there were 1,471 land sales in June, up 289% on May. The large spike that we've seen in land transactions can be attributed to people fearing that they are missing out on these grants, he said. If you were ever going to build a house, now is the best time you're going to see. But Mr. Collins said he also had concerns. I think overall the amount of money that has been thrown at getting construction started is way too much, he said. Here's the thing. If builders are busy, there'll be a point where they'll just charge you more. Because they need to. Because there'll be a point where the extra hassle of taking on another client to your quality of life, you're going to go, you know what, oh yeah, I'll double the fee. I can't be bothered. I don't want to win that job. Go on, the tradies in the comments can let me know. When that happens, there comes a point where, you'd rather relax on the weekend, not do the extra work. So you put in a higher fee, and it comes off, fantastic. But it overheats the market as well. So is the 25 grand worth it? I mean, it's from the government's perspective, they don't care about that. They just want to see economic activity. They want to see money moving around, people spending and getting out there. That's what they want to see happen. That's why they're encouraging this. That's why this is a much smarter approach than just putting it in public housing. Sure, they can be like Judge Dredd and then lock them all down, when the pandemic happens, like in Victoria, with their wonderful public housing. But then you're only getting that initial kick of money. You're only getting, 25 grand worth for 25 grand, where everything here, you're getting, 25 grand, you're getting all the additional money they're spending on the houses and the nicer fixtures. Or for the people renovating, it's another 150 grand minimum per 25 grand of government spend. So it's more activity. That's why they're doing it. And we're property obsessed, guys. So firstly, for people in the established market, those who are already sitting on a property, they are in negative equity in a lot of cases. All of a sudden, their property is now out of the market by an extra 45,000 compared to brand new. But also, concern for some of these people buying brand new properties in house and land. What you want to think about is not just the free money you're going to be getting from the government, but also you want to be thinking about what is the value of that going to be in the end. There you go. So house sales could bring debt. Jude Loza built her Baldivis home for $455 in 2015 and has a mortgage of just under 400 grand. She wants to sell so she can move back to New Zealand to care for her elderly parents, but says the best offer she has so far was 20,000 less than what she owed the bank. There you go. There you go. I mean, this is it. People are in negative equity. If we look here, I'll bring up this chart of arrears rates. See how high it has grown from Western Australia and Northern Territory? Look at that, over 1.5%, just from 2016. Nearly tripled. The rate of people 150 days past due, late on their mortgage payments. What would that be if we didn't have the mortgage holidays? The mortgage holidays. I'm still surprised. Well, no, I'm not surprised that they're doing that, but I'm surprised so many people need to depend on it. That's the sad part, isn't it? When we came here to Australia, I came here with money, and we're going to be leaving with debt. That's life sometimes. Probably could have rented and got something cheaper in a place in NZ. Probably, well, it was cheaper over there when I had friends moving back. Miss Loza said she was already facing a loss prior to the pandemic, and the building grants and now conditions have become even more tough. We're up against a lot of vacant blocks that have been on the market for probably the last year. she said. And now with the government offering this new package, we're finding that buyers are taking that up. What is actually going to be doing is pushing the value of our properties below what they're actually worth. No, they're not. Your property isn't worth what you think. Your property isn't worth what you think. Your property now is worth $45,000 less. You know, I mean, that's what happens when the government intervenes in the markets, when they pick winners and losers. Here they've picked a winner. They've picked the winner, which is new houses. So all of us in existing houses, we're all losers now. We're all losers. There's less incentive to buy an older house. Particularly here. Less incentive. Why would you get an old, crappy house? You need a nice new one with newer, posher fixtures. I mean, I'm being quite facetious. There's a little difference between them. I mean, look at these things. Look at how close these are built to the edge of the back fence. Bloody hell, these are horrible. These are shit. Look at that. I did a subject. There was a gentleman, a urban planner, and he's written a book just about the disappearing backyards in Australia. I mean, look at that. Is this going to lead to a generation of kids having eating disorders like diabetes or, you know, getting overweight? Where can you run around here? Yeah, that means you'll be playing on the street, and then there's a risk of getting injured. Or it means you'll be playing in your Xbox inside. Oh, that's terrible. Build a smaller house. Wow, sorry, I hate that. It's utter shit. Don't buy a house like this, guys. Get a bloody yard, okay? How small are these blocks? Are the blocks really small or the house is so big? I need a shot of coffee with this one. I mean, we don't have a big block here, but at least we've got a little bit of room so the kids can play and they've got trees they can climb. You can't even plant a tree in this. Think of the heat load on the urban footprint. It's going to be so hot. The microclimate will be terrible. Oh, boy. We architects don't do much in specky stuff, guys. You know, it's not worth it. You don't need to hire an architect for this. There's not much you can do with these things. And you don't need to. But, well, what I'd do is make them bloody smaller. That's what I would. I'd rather have, you know, lose one bedroom and have a bit of a courtyard outside at least or something to get some air in. These things aren't worth 400 grand, or they shouldn't be. Think about your health effects. Anyway, see, this is what happened. My early childhood, we were in Victoria. We had a quarter acre. You know, I remember we had a big backyard. Even in down the Gold Coast, my parents had a decent-sized block. At least there was a pool and a bit of yard. Don't people want backyards anymore? Am I out of date, guys? Let me know in the comments. How many of you have a backyard for your kids? So, Baldivis was one of the most popular areas for new homes in 2015, but since then, house prices have fallen 19%. House prices in Greater Perth have fallen by 12.3% over the same period. Finance data analyst Martin North said many of the hotspot postcodes for mortgage stress across Australia were in areas that had experienced high property development over the last decade. He had concerns the building incentives could add to existing financial pressure and urged people to think carefully before jumping in. People are effectively being bribed to go and buy, he said. He's right. Martin's right. You know, you need the patience, everyone. Patience. I know it's hard with the Instagram world and the instant gratification world we're in now, but patience. It's a virtue for a reason. And I understand the reason the government want to try and get the construction sector fired up again, because it's a big source of jobs. But there's a couple of observations. The first is that the land prices tend to rise by the amount of those additional incentives, so people need to pay more. And secondly, by the time they've bought the land and developed, the risk is that the overall value of properties continues to fall in the area. So who really wins from the stimulus package? Martin North said developers, builders and tradespeople would be the biggest winners out of the stimulus package. The risks and consequences to individual buyers and communities from these rather myopic strategies have not been fully understood yet, he said. Well, interventionist interventions in the market, and they're never quite fully understood. It's best not to risk them. I look across, at least WA doesn't have their bloody potato board anymore, everyone. You know, they're getting there. They're getting better. They're getting better. I look across the country more broadly than just down south of Perth, and we can see this again and again and again, with way too many properties being built in these outlying suburbs. And values are falling, people are being trapped, mortgage stress is rising, and unfortunately, negative equity is a consequence as well. Unfortunately, this is part of the myopic picture of the way that property works in Australia. Spatial Property Group Managing Director Bruce Young said land sales had exploded since the government announcements, but he believed buyers were the biggest winners. Oh. Who do you trust? Spatial Property Group Managing Director, or, you know, FDA Martin North? Let me know in the comments. Who do you trust more? You know, Spatial Property Group Managing Director. Yeah, we've already read that. I would say maybe a 5 or 6-fold increase in land sales compared with what they had been previously, he said. And remember, all of this stimulus that the government is handing out is going to be debt that you have to pay back in tax. Okay? It's going to be debt that you will be forced to pay back in tax one way or another. Future generations will. Or if you're an MMT proponent, they'll just tax you to regulate the economy. Oh, bloody hell. But you'd also have to look at the flow-on effects to the economy. I think everyone benefits out of this, from the developers who are moving stock to the home builders who are moving their homes, and all of the tradespeople and product suppliers as well. Home ownership benefits health. Okay. Does this, having a yard this small, benefit your health? Bullshit. No, I don't believe it. I do not believe it. How's this different from being in a unit? I remember when Rachel and I were looking. She was pregnant with Mina, and we were moving out of our apartment to, I think, somewhere cheaper, to a unit. And I walked in this shitty unit, and I said, no way. No way. In a statement, having a yard, I think, is important. In a statement, WA Housing Minister Peter Tinley said the state and Commonwealth grants unashamedly targeted building activity that will generate work in the building and construction sector. Not all households will be interested in building new homes, he said. Those that take advantage of the grants will likely create churn at all price points in the home ownership market, providing opportunities for some households to exit private rental into ownership and or free up much needed rental availability. He said there were significant benefits to home ownership, which people could gain as a result of the grants. Numerous studies point to the benefits of home ownership on the health and well-being of individuals, including the educational outcomes of children. Think about the children. It's always about the children. I mean, he's right. Okay. Owning a home, if you own a home, it usually generally is a greater stability and better outcomes. But has that data taken account of having a 1 meter backyard? I'm sorry. I know I'm dwelling on this, but it pisses me off to no end. I mean, come on. This is just stupid. Look, at the thermal load here is going to be atrocious. You're going to hear everyone. Your neighbors are getting it on. You're going to hear it through the bloody walls. What do you think, guys? What do you think? Do you think these grants are going to be a good thing? Are they going to overheat an already overheated market? Do you think I'm overreacting? You need only a 1 meter backyard. I guess it's just to carry your Xbox from the car to sit on your ass and put on weight. Health benefits. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing? If you are a fan of the channel and want to help us that little bit extra, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us via our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint or support us via PayPal. Just think, wrong screen. Just think here. How much you're paying for one of these things, what you could get maybe acreage a bit further out than with an ambient connection. Why not? Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.